Well, hey there, welcome back to Wasting Time in the Woods. I got a new job a few months back and it's eaten up some of the time that I used to spend camping. It's caused me to reevaluate a little bit of what I do with my free time.
Alex is ready for a bath.
Oh, yeah, but this is only the third coat.
Yeah, I don't prioritize well. And that's why we've had to figure out a way to get organized with my gear so that we can go camping without taking the whole week to prepare. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at our camping checklist and how we use it to help get the family out of town and into the woods without forgetting anything too important. We'll talk about the different ways that you can prepare your food and gear to be ready to hit the trail at a moment's notice, and we'll take a look at how we make sure to restock for the next adventure at the end of the last one. This episode is brought to you by Bodega Cooler. Bodega Cooler makes amazingly affordable and portable outdoors and off-road refrigerators for your next overland or camping adventure. They've got a whole range of fridges to choose from in all shapes and sizes. They recently sent us one and it's made a huge improvement to our camping efficiency. Now we can pack our food as we buy it or even stop at the store on the way to camp instead of having to pack all of our food at the last minute like we did with our ice chest. These fridges have a ton of features to make your next off-road adventure a little bit more comfortable. They've got large roll-around wheels and a built-in telescopic handle makes moving it around camp a breeze. It also has a built-in battery that will power it for 8 to 10 hours, making it a great alternative to lugging around a portable battery for a quick overnighter or to keep the beers frosty at your next backyard barbecue. When you want a drink, just go down to the bodega, bodegacooler.com. All right, guys, we all know how stressful it can be to prep for a loadout. There's just so many bits and pieces to make life in the woods more cozy, and it's really easy to miss something essential on your rush to hit the trail. After I forgot the tent last summer, we decided to implement a checklist system. We made a Word doc that we threw some tables in to make it easy to edit as our gear evolves. I'll put a link to it in the description below so that you can use this as a starting point for your own checklist and to mock me for my gear selection. All right, let's talk about what's on our camping checklist. Our checklist starts by defining 3 things: people, place, and weather. When you think about it, essentially all your packing decisions depend on these 3 factors. It's also a great way to remind you to check the weather close to departure. Below that, we list all the typical gear we take. You'll notice that I have several columns. The first is just a checkbox that denotes the intention to pack this item. This is essentially the planning column. The first thing that I do when I print one of these out is I sit down and I check off essentially everything that I plan on bringing. The next column is the description of the items. This is where you actually lay out the details of the specific gear that we own, but you could easily make this generic or customize it to your gear and evolve it as it changes. I've got them divided into categories and stacked on the checklist in order of importance. Since I'm about as pasty as a sack of flour, water is always my top priority, so I list that first. Then clothing, shelter, food, margarita machine, etc., etc. Finally, at the bottom of the list is the stuff that I don't mind leaving on occasion. Now there are some boxes that I've intentionally left blank so that I can fill in the details later. For example, which tents that we're gonna take or what recovery gear that we'll wanna have on hand, because those are kind of dependent on where we're going. The boxes are our modular camping boxes. I just list their main components and expendables that I don't wanna forget. You know, I know our Genesis stove is always gonna be in the kitchen box, so I don't have that listed, for example. Below the gear, I've got a section for the stuff that is always in my car, like a med kit, dog bowls, sunblock. This is the sort of stuff that I keep in my seat back organizer, and I just want to double check to make sure that I haven't taken it out and set it somewhere. I've also got an optional gear section at the bottom for the sometimes stuff. This is where you can list your kayaks or your bikes, you know, the stuff that you occasionally take based on the trip. Now, to the right side of the page, you'll notice a couple more columns. One is the loaded column. That is not the column I use after happy hour, although maybe it should be. Usually when I forget something, I return home a few days later to find it sitting essentially right where the truck was parked when I loaded out. I added this column so that I can kind of denote exactly where in the truck it was loaded before I check it off and hopefully make sure that that doesn't happen again. Finally, the last column is the order/fix column. Whenever we head out, I always throw the completed checklist into my driver's door map pocket. As the trip goes on and I realize we might need more camp soap or paper towels before the next trip, you know, maybe a new solar light, I go and I grab the list and I scribble down whatever we need. Then when I return home, it's super easy. I've already got a shopping list right there. I just order whatever we need, or I restock the expendables as I move the boxes back into storage. Nothing has added more confidence to our quick trips than this checklist, and I haven't forgotten the tent once since we started using it. Now, I couldn't do a video about loading out quick without covering our box system again. I did a whole video on how we use 4 boxes and our roof rack for loadouts, so be sure to check that out for more details. Essentially, having all of your stuff in a few boxes allows you to have kits. We have a kitchen box, a utility box, a sleeping setup for parents, and a second one for kids. If I'm gonna go with my buddies and I don't wanna take a ton of stuff, I might only take the kitchen box and utility box and then throw a sleeping bag and pad into the back of the car. It just makes it easy to quickly grab your pre-configured kitchen or sleeping system, which makes loadouts quick and painless. Another huge pain that we had in the past was dealing with the ice chest. With ice, you've got to keep all of your food and drinks in the house fridge until the last minute. That means that your home fridge has to get rearranged, you can't load the heaviest parts of the loadout until right before you leave, and you always end up having to stop for ice on your way out. Sometimes that results in leaving something important behind. Since we switched to a car fridge, we don't have to deal with any of that. If I want to shop ahead of time, we can just plug the cooler in and leave it packed up and ready to go. If we just want to shop on our way out, we can load the empty fridge into the car, and then when we leave, we just fire it up. By the time we get to the grocery store, it's cool enough to load up, and it's a huge time saver. All right, well, I hope this helps you guys get out there a little easier next time. Let me know what you all do to streamline your loadouts in the comments below. Be sure to click subscribe, like, and share for more content like this. We'll see you out there.
Dad, are you gonna remember to bring the tent this time?
I hope so, sweetie.